Hi, I'm Kim,
Hi, I'm Tora.
and this is our podcast, Kicking It with Kim and Torra. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, and so our next topic is the new COVID restrictions. What do you think about those? They're really going pretty hard in the DMV area.
And
What's
they
your
did.
thoughts?
And Biden just announced that he's going to have this agenda where we're going to have to get booster shots. Now, people who were pro vaccine, which is me, I'm pro vaccine because I feel like the world is crawling with all these new things, and I feel like some of them are for us, and of course I know for a fact some of them aren't for us,
Mhm.
because you see the pop-ups on TV in the middle of the night. If you had this vaccine, you took this medication, call for this number because there's a lawsuit going on. So I know it all ain't good, so we just know that. But when you tell us we have a vaccine that might need a booster shot, when we're all topsy-turvy about it anyway, even the people who are
And
pro-vaccine,
you just got it. You
we
just
just
got It's
got
not
it.
like you got it 2 years ago.
Right. So, and they're saying, oh, well, it's just like the flu vaccine. You need to get it in the fall and then you need to get it in the. And I get what they're saying with that. But this is so new to us and so scary. It's like, and now you're trying to give us the booster on top of all the other anxieties we have. I think it's just going to be too much this go around. I think
Okay.
people who got the shot and got the vaccine the first time were like happy and they're, but then when you come right behind them and say you need a booster, I think it's going to be a lot of pause. I just
And some of the people have been saying you're going to need an annual shot.
and
You're
right,
going to need it
but
every year.
we still trying to figure out what's in it, what's the reactions, what's the long-term reactions. We don't know. So I just think I understand they want to do everything to help people stay alive, and I understand they're saying that emergency rooms are getting like overloaded with teenagers, young
And with
people.
lots of vaccinated people,
They're saying
a
that too.
lot of vaccinated
Saying
people.
a lot of vaccinated people. And of course, I told you my daughter got COVID after she got the shot. And
Hmm.
so, and the CDC called and they wanted, look after her.
Are they tracking her or they were?
They were tracking her, and then they stopped after, her quarantine period ended. But they still track me. I still got a
Because of
call.
the heart
Yeah,
situation?
I still got a call.
And you
So
don't
yeah,
have any complications so far?
no, I do. I have these sporadic things that have been happening to my body, which I'm just like, I don't know. Like I'm getting rashes that I never got before, and I definitely, we still do the. It went from every week to once a month to every 3 months. So now I'm on the every 3 months, and
For the
I'm just like,
cardiologist, you mean?
for no, for the vaccine checkup.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
Be Safe. It's Be Safe, and Be Safe will contact you through your phone, and you put in your symptoms. But I literally, I'm developing all these ailments that I don't know. It could be my age. I
What
don't know.
else are you developing in addition to rashes?
Joint pains. I am getting like real bad joint pains everywhere, like in my fingers and my shoulders and my hips, and
I don't
I'm
think that's
doing everything.
age.
I'm detoxing. I'm definitely detoxing because I don't know if it is, but I don't know if it isn't. But I'm trying to get whatever it is out of me because it's just flaring up really bad.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm so sorry to hear that.
oh my
Is
God, and my chest last week broke out with these burning highs to the point I thought it was a product that my granddaughter might have had in her hair, but no, because when she wasn't here, more came that had nothing to do with her. Because
so
she was
it's
laying on my
primarily rashes and joint pain. That's
chest.
it. It's
And I had headaches right after, lots of really bad headaches.
that you
I had
didn't have before.
no, I had headaches and I had migraines, but these were different. These were coming in with a force that the other ones just didn't have. Like I had been, checked out before with the headaches, and I had, MRIs done for headaches just to make sure everything wasn't. And 9 times out of 10, it was always my glasses. I needed stronger
Mhm.
vision glasses. But this, I had went and got stronger vision glasses, and still it was blinding, ears ringing. I mean, it was just
So,
metallic in my mouth all the time,
what in your mouth?
like a metallic taste, almost
A
like you were
metallic
eating gum.
taste? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the other people in your house are vaccinated. Does anybody else say that they're having
They wouldn't even
additional
probably pay
symptoms?
attention to it. No, my daughter thought that, her not having her cycle could have been it, but she said that the doctor told her that wasn't it. It was probably just a cyst.
Was it only
And
1 month or just was a long time?
it was, she hadn't got her cycle before she got the shot. So
Okay.
they, they didn't know. They said that it definitely wasn't from that. So she thought it was that for a little while. But then she started saying that she felt different. My youngest daughter started saying she had some weird things going on too. They just said weird things. They didn't point out one thing or
And I
the other.
remember right after you guys got the shot, you told me, well, everybody in our house is kind of sick these days.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's not what we wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
that for
No, we
those,
all went through it. We all went through a very bad phase where everybody was sick around. I mean, it was abnormal sick. You know what I mean? It was
you mean
abnormal.
like flu symptoms type sick or some
Flu
other sick?
symptoms, feeling like flu slash allergy symptoms. It was weird. I think my husband was a little nervous at first. My kids was a little nervous at first. I wasn't ever nervous. I just was concerned. Like, come on now, don't tell me I did something that then jack my life up trying to save my life because I know it can happen. So I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
concerned.
that can happen.
Mhm.
I'm concerned, but we just have to monitor it.
The booster is causing so much pause because I don't know if I want the booster. I don't know. I don't think I do.
Mm.
As of today, if you would ask me today, that's what I mean. So if you ask me today, do I need the booster? Do I want the booster? I would say I don't know if I need it, but I don't want it. If you ask me right
And
now,
so your point is that even putting aside the unvaxxers who don't even want the vaccine, now they're bringing something that the vaxxers may not want because it's just too much.
it's too much. And we know, and I know people are sick of people saying, I don't know. Because you're like, oh, you put soda in your mouth, or you put, steak in your mouth.
I don't think that's a good argument. I do hear people
But you heard
say
people
that.
say
I've
this, right?
heard, yeah, I've heard people say, oh, oh, you eat cereal with all those chemicals, and
You had
now you don't
unprotected
know.
sex. You
Mhm.
had unprotected sex, and now you worried about this. Like I know, I get it, people. But what I'm saying to you is I don't understand the if I am going to live out this healthy long life, I don't understand me jacking it up with this.
And let me ask you this, what do you think about the fact that now they're coming back with all these, you must wear a mask, you must social distance, not only for people who are not vaccinated, because at first they were like, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to do that. Now they're like, oh, everybody needs to do it all over again. We're right back pretty much where we started, thanks to this so-called variant. And I'm pretty sure that once the summer's over, they're going to go right back to the lockdown.
I'm 100% sure. People can say whatever they want. And I have a lot
No,
of
it's
friends
coming.
that, are financially well off, and they're like, no, we're hearing that, that's never going to happen again. And I'm just like, y'all, I don't even see what y'all don't see because I see it. Because my thing
The
is
writing is right on the wall. It's
right on the
big and clear.
right on the wall. Like literally, we got a letter from our job that said it's a choice if you want to wear a mask or not. Because first they said it was mandatory, and then they called in and they said, what's going on? Do they have? I had already said I was a man. I got the darn shot, so I didn't have to wear the darn mask. That mask was the end all be all for me. I know a lot of people love the mask. It makes them look cute and mysterious, and
And
they
it helps with their psychological
and it
fears
helps
because
them
it really doesn't
psychologically with their
stop
fear.
anything. It's just a psychological
But
band-aid.
for me, my claustrophobia just goes through the roof with that thing on my face. Now I understand if I'm in a room full of people that's sick and I need to wear, I would wear it anyway.
Yeah, that's
If I went to the emergency room, there was no such thing of COVID, and they said, people have the flu here. Do you mind wearing it? I would not mind. But to have that thing on at work all day long, going shopping through the malls, I just don't want to do it. I got the shot, so I don't have to do it.
But do you know that in Prince George's County, they mandated masks again for everybody when indoors? The last time I was at Wegmans in Anne Arundel County, which was just a few days ago, 97% of the people had a mask on. Of course I didn't. And I looked around and saw just a very few random people without one. But now they're wearing it outside on the sidewalk again. I mean, like, I don't know. It's like you were a
That's
slave, they
hurtful.
set you free, and now you just insist on doing slave things. But now the counties are coming back, and I'm wondering if Governor Hogan is once again going to say,
He is, and I know he is because someone came on to my job and told me that I believe it was PG County in another county where it's mandatory to wear the mask
PG
indoors.
is for sure mandatory. I don't
And
know
they're
what
starting to
other.
close down certain restaurants and only make them like delivery again.
Oh
And
God, we
all,
got to do all that.
yeah,
I am not on board.
I'm not on board either. And I just literally felt like we got our life back. I
Yep.
literally, our restaurant, which we frequent and love, they're like, you can do our wine tastings again without making a schedule. You can walk in without, reservations again. So,
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a problem for me, and I just don't want to go back to all
no,
of that. You can't, you gotta have people dropping your food at the door and running away. And it just was so much. And even though I didn't get vaccinated, enough people have that. Why are we doing that? See, in the summer, it's too hot, and everybody knows you can't really pretend that a virus is rapidly spreading in this kind of heat. But
Kim,
soon as the fall
why
kicks
do we
in,
have to wear the mask in the restaurant? Why do we have to wear the mask when we sit down at the restaurant or go to the bathroom? But while we eating, we don't need it on? Kim, make it make sense.
and I'm going to tell you, I went to a building today, and it was a young man and his daughter, and she came out the elevator with him. It was like, hey, you know how little, I mean, like a toddler, hi
Of
to
course.
everybody. She didn't have a mask on. He had a mask
Really?
on. Because if you're 2 and under, you don't wear a mask. But
But
that's
my
when
thing is,
your
they
immune
claim that
system
that's
is
all in the
weakest.
hospital.
Mhm.
How does that make sense?
It
They
doesn't.
claim that that's all in the hospital is younger kids now. They said all it's happening to all the younger
You
kids
mean
now.
like 2 and below? Because that's what I'm talking about.
Two
Like,
and older. So it's between like 2 and 21 that are
well,
in the
can
hospital
you
right
explain to me why it is that a virus that allegedly is so contagious
now.
doesn't affect anybody under the age of 2? They never wear masks. Why does that not? And their immune systems are very new and not highly developed. I'm sorry, I'm
And see,
yelling. And not highly
that's what
developed.
they tell us. That's what they told us for hundreds of years that the newborn babies' immune systems aren't, strong enough. So keep them in or keep them. But my thing is this: maybe that's something that we were also taught wrong. Maybe that's why they're trying to hurt these kids. Maybe that's why they're trying to take their DNA from birth and their and stem cells from birth because they know
Especially the
that fresh
pandemic
out.
kids. Have you been
Yes,
hearing about that? The pandemic
yes,
kids holding
yes.
their heads up on day one and doing all kinds of things. I was always taught that the reason the younger children's, the newborns and so on, their immune system wasn't so strong is because they had not yet been exposed to any of the pollutants and all the things that we experience.
But
The
you think
more
about
they're
their
exposed,
genetic
they're
makeup of
probably
their body.
lying though. I didn't think of,
That's
you're
what I'm
right.
trying
They
to
lie
say.
about everything. They lie
They lie about
about
everything.
everything.
So my thing is this, if they told you that your brand new baby is the strongest element that ever, because it is a genetic makeup of everything and component you're made up of, all the germs, all the healthy fighting virus,
It
if
all
it told
came through
you,
your body, through that umbilical cord. You are absolutely right. It
yes. So
all
my thing
came
is
to
this,
them.
and they probably known for millions of years that the infants are stronger, their immune system are stronger than anybody.
And then by the time, and see, you know what, Tora,
Do you
that's so
remember when
right.
they wanted to start taking the stem cells straight from your baby? They asked you, do you want to donate your stem cells from the
And I
baby's
said, no.
umbilical cord? Of course, we all said no.
But they also gave us the option at one point of storing our own babies'
Yeah.
stem cells. And remember I was telling you that somebody, I think it was somebody that I watched, was saying that they poison us all our lives in order to keep our lifespan shorter because it's harder to control people as we get wiser. And so they kind of cut it off right when our wisdom kicks in. But
Yes.
those babies probably are stronger because they're not getting chemtrails and all these
But we
dyes and the
also,
chemicals in the
the pandemic
water.
baby wasn't raised in school or near schools at all. Your siblings were home. So if you had a pandemic baby and your 5-year-old was home or your 4-year-old was home, they don't have anybody telling them that they got to stop doing something. That's a 24-hour learning lesson. You know,
Mhm.
you're 24 hours with your mom now. You're 24 hours in the house with adults now. So, I mean, I personally have witnessed it with the FOI, Fruits of Islam kids
Oh, okay.
see um, who don't ever see a standard school.
They're
I've
more
gone in
advanced.
and
They're more advanced.
but just
Like
brilliant.
Riza Islam. Riza Islam didn't go to those schools. Okay,
No, no, and
that's our time.
he's another brilliant mind.
Yeah, he really is. That's our time for that topic. We can come back to it next week because the COVID thing is just going to keep going on. But our next topic or our last topic for the today is how do we regain knowledge of our history, given that we now realize that what we just said, the things they've taught us are not true. And then that's particularly true for us as Black people. They really have done a whitewashing of history. So how do we get our knowledge back?
And that is something that I want to know because the more jewels that are being uncovered, I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if the Catholic Church is leaking them because they got new school people up in there now, and the old men are died off, so the new school is sneaking this stuff out. I don't know if I don't know how this knowledge is becoming so prevalent on social media, but it is like every day if you talk near your phone and you know I'm a firm believer in that because
You
we had a
do. Yeah.
conversation and I sent you, I was like, come on Kim, look at this, how is this popping up on my phone? I never even had a conversation with you ever about this.
Mhm.
So it pops up. So my thing is when you ask for this knowledge now, it's appearing right in front of you. You know, we all knew certain things that were just gifted to us, that were stronger in certain things. We saw like our kids could, walk faster. We saw that our kids could run faster at a young age. We
Talk
knew our kids
earlier, all
talk
kinds of stuff.
with clear sentences. We
Mhm.
knew all of this, even though, but now the rest of the world is knowing it. And
Well,
they're
I
putting
didn't know it. I didn't know it. I just thought that my kids were advanced, which is what I would expect of them. But over the recent year, I have learned that in general, all Black babies reach milestones more quickly than non-melanated, let's call them babies. And so I was like, wow, I saw it, but I didn't know that it was the norm for
it was
Black
the
babies.
norm. It was the
Mhm.
norm. And I saw it because it was, I don't know, I hadn't been about 10 years old. And there was something on television where they were showing this Caucasian kid who knew all the presidents at 5 years old and knew all of this and knew all of that. I mean, he was just so, and I just kept
Well,
thinking
that's
to myself,
memorization. So he had a good memory because those things are memory.
and see, and that sparked for me, even at 10, I said, had my parents, because I could clearly, while everyone was looking at this brilliant kid, I'm looking at the parent. And I could see that the parents took the time, the energy, the patience to give him. He didn't just pick up. I mean, dude,
Yeah, it's
they
not
don't
some
care how
kind of
genius you
knowledge
are.
that you're just born, like it'd be different if he was just born with advanced knowledge of astronomy or something. But to learn the president, that's memory. So like when my kids were
Right.
toddlers, like literal toddlers in the bathtub, I had
Mhm.
phone, letters, and
Mhm.
numbers that we stuck on the wall. So they all knew all the alphabets, all the numbers and stuff like that before one, because
Mhm.
I just if you teach them, they'll learn.
And
If
I
you
did the
teach them,
same
they'll
thing,
learn.
but I did everything with my kids in music rap form. So even at one, they could spell their name fully out. They knew their phone numbers because back then we had phone numbers.
Yeah.
They knew all of that,
Your
and it was because
address.
and right, and I used to like rap to Victoria and me, like MIA, or VICTORIA. We and they found it in like I was like, if you can sing Barney at one,
Just
I love
sing
you,
your
you love
name.
me, you can say your name. So
And I had some rap CDs that I
mhm.
bought from
You
somewhere.
did too?
They did numbers counting by twos, by ones. They did the alphabet. They did a lot of stuff like
Antoine
that
bought that for our kids too. He bought the same thing, the rap CDs, and I'd play it in the car to and from
all the
everywhere we
time.
go. And that's when
Mhm.
I knew. So of course, Mia was talking at 5 months. And that was
Mhm.
extraordinary for me, but it
That
wasn't
is
extraordinary
extraordinary.
in a whole because I already knew. Because I
Mhm.
walked in the room because it was just her and I was like underneath her, and so I was always talking to her like she was a grown up. It was just Her and I for 5 months. I would walk in, I'd be like, "Hey, boo boo, what you doing, boo boo? What we do?" And so when she said to me, "No, boo boo," at 5 months, I was like, "What did you?" I said, "What did you
Love
say?"
it.
Said no, boo boo. I said no, boo boo. Did you say no, boo boo? And then I just started screaming. I
That's
called my dad
so
at work. I said,
phenomenal.
"You said no, boo boo." And so, of course, that was like her first. And then look was second. She used to always say, because I was always telling him to look at her, like, look what she's doing. So that was her next thing. So then after that, she started at 5 months, going on 6 months, saying full things like, "I don't like that, yucky." So I was like, "Oh my," and I would bring her around. People go, "My daughter can talk." But
Did
then
you film it? Because I would film some of theirs with that big
I have it, but
camcorder.
it was back then we had the 8 millimeter.
I
Now I
have
gotta
the
find something
tapes.
to
I still have the tapes too,
I
but
can
yeah,
do it. We gotta transfer it now onto something because the camcorder, I don't know who stole that or where that went, but that was the only thing that would
play
play on
those
remote
tapes.
music.
Mhm.
Anything. Well, there was a guy who did, dub them, but I don't even know where his business is anymore. But he was taking all the people 8 millimeters and putting them on DVDs for them.
Oh,
So I
wow.
just gotta find out where that business went to. But I have all of that. Like I kept her on camcorder. I feel bad, but I did. Like her whole life was pretty much filmed. And then I had Victoria, and I had her tested for autism like 10 times because
Wow.
she didn't start talking until she was like 9 months. And I thought for sure she was delayed. I was like, "Oh, you definitely, something special about you.
Oh,
You're
wow.
definitely special needs because you need to be talking."
And then
And
she started walk. She probably did some other things that my
she did.
kids
She was
didn't
a
do.
phenomenal gymnast. At 9 months, she was swinging on the bars, doing. I have pictures and videos of her being a phenomenal gymnast at 9 months. But then her talking was fluent. Like she could say words, but she couldn't talk. So
But I
that's
found that
like,
my kids did things differently. My son acquired, he walked first. My
see,
daughter, I was so busy trying to get her to walk like he did at that age, and she said ball.
yeah,
So I was like, okay, they're
yeah,
doing their thing. They're different. Each of them does
totally
their
different.
own thing. She
Same
said
body,
ball, and I was like, woo. Yeah.
yep. So yeah, that's why I said when now that everything is showing our history, so they want to know, well, how could you build those pyramids? And how could we have, knowledge to other planets and life forms? Well, when you are born with knowledge, when you come out of the womb of your mother and you are already told that you're the greatest and it's okay to be great, that's what built those pyramids.
And
That's how.
nobody's dumbing you down and chemicaling you up,
No.
and you're because they have all kinds of powers that we have dormant in us that we don't know how to use, but they have all kinds of skills and powers that we need to remember.
I mean, you think about certain words like mental telepathy. You know, you think of something like that and think of that word. How would you even know to think of a word like that? Whoever created that word and you know the meaning of it, you had to have gotten it from somewhere.
Do you know what I have been told, and I think it's probably true, that most of the electronics that we utilize now are mimicking skills that we as melanated people originally had,
I tell
including the
people that.
computer, the cell phone, the airplane, all that stuff are things that we like teleporting. All they bring it to us in the form of science fiction, but in reality, it is our history and our birthright, and I'm over here trying to figure out how do I activate it because I'm ready to do some of those things.
Oh, listen, I went and had a conversation with my friend who wants to come on the show eventually, but we were talking about how scientists have well, I wanted him to come on the show and talk about it, but forget it. We'll talk about it real quick. Scientists have saw that if a rat or a mouse was the grandfather was DNA damaged, meaning like he was killed, um, or he was injured, in a mouse trap or whatever, that DNA was passed down to his grandson. So his
Mhm.
grandson will avoid mousetrap. We had this conversation. I go home, I go on TikTok, and boom, there's the video on my phone. So I send it to him. I said, "This is why I told you I'm leaving our phones and any electronics in the car next time we talk because this popped
We're
up on my
listening.
phone." I said, I'd never heard of that, but the conversation was, I told him that I tapped into my ancestors just recently.
Oh, you
And he
did.
was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, something triggered, something happened to somebody in my ancestry, which they triggered to me now. And he's like, what are you talking about? Because he kept asking me, what are you talking about? And then that's when he brought up the scenario what he just saw. And what happened with me was I kept trying to figure out a relationship between my mother and my daughters and which
Mhm.
I don't have a strong relationship with my mother. My daughters, I mean, they revere her. They think she's awesome. And
Really?
oh my God,
I'm
they could eat her
surprised.
up. And especially my youngest one. But she doesn't know what she's done to me. And I've
To
kept a
allow
lot
her to have her own relationship.
right.
That's that's
I allowed her.
that's what real parents do. Those other kind of parents are running them. You don't know her. If only you knew. But
Right,
real
right.
parents will say, "I'll hold that in, so you can go ahead and be great." You know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
And they swear for God that I'm just like the meanest person to my mother. So I had to try to say, what do they see? Because what I see is I'm the greatest to my mother, like being used and abused. And then she doesn't, when, I only get to see her when she's sick or not, doing well, then I have to get her
Everything
right.
good she gives to your siblings, but when she needs something, she calls you. I've seen that kind of thing
Okay.
before as
So
well.
that was passed down from one of my ancestors who told me no matter how you treat your mother, your kids still see you. So even though you're saying to yourself, no, woman, I'm not going to let you take me down this rabbit hole, your kids see only that. They don't see what she did to you. So for
My
you to
kids see
checkmate
it.
her,
My kids see it. My kids see it and they will tell. My son called me and told me something today. My daughter's seen it too. But I will say to you that the DNA thing, I think is really real. All my life, people have commented on how I walk. It's a way like you own the world or something. I don't think well, I probably do, but we all do.
yay,
No, but
yes.
my mother and her side, see, my father's side raised me. But my mother and her side of the family would always, she walks just like, doesn't she walk? And they would name her. And then recently I said something to my mother, and she said, you sound just like my grandmother. And that's the same woman they say I walk like. And I said, well, my ancestors live in me.
That's right.
She is a witness, honey. That freaked her. Oh God, that threw her for a loop. She could not wrap her mind around the idea.
How people
That's when
go
she
there.
gets into, am I worshiping the ancestors? No, I'm revering them. They're
I
dedicated
worship
in
my
us.
ancestors. I
I
worship
revere
them.
them. I
I know
revere
when they're
them.
close. I know when they're not far, and I need to remind them, you need to hurry up. Your sister over here getting kicked. I need your back. Like I revere them. I love them. I
I
I worship
connect
them.
with them. I
I
connect
connect
with
with
them.
them. I
Mhm.
call them. I call them to the point. I know that when they walk hard, when they running up to me like, "What do you want?" I'd be like, "No, you need to get your people because
Okay.
these people over here messing with me, and I'm gonna need you to help me out. I can't do it alone. Like I do a lot of things alone. I don't bother y'all all the time, but I need y'all to help me out with this one." And I
Okay.
see it. I feel it. I see it. And when the things go the way I'm hoping that they go for me because I'm tired or sick and tired, I'd be like, I know it was them. I know they was like, all right, I got it. I got it.
That's what
But
Maya
I know
Angelou
it's
said. Walk in the room with all of your ancestors behind you. You are not coming alone.
and I feel like other people who not tapped in, but I feel like other people know when you're surrounded by your ancestors. I feel that. I feel like they look at you like, what is up with her? I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but it's something. And I feel like that's what it is. I feel
I
like
think that's valid.
yeah, I feel like that's what it is. I feel like when you take on things that you are just like not qualified for, but your
Mhm.
ancestors are like you don't even know that you beyond qualified. Like
Mhm.
I am, like you don't know, like no one's gonna tell us. Who's gonna tell us that? Who
Nobody.
told us?
Nobody.
You know,
Sometimes we just have to be like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but apparently this is what I'm here for. So let's get to it, Let's do
listen.
it.
Both of my daughters were in my room crying, "Mommy, we're not gonna be able to go back to school." I said, "Let me tell you something. When you talk to me, you don't ever say things like that. I've never talked like that to you. I don't know who is putting that in your brain." I said, "But in my room, in my house, you say I'm going, and you say it just like you're doing it. You don't say your universe don't know the difference between what you saying and what you gonna do.
Mhm.
Where they at?" Both of them in college, and I had to tell them that. I'm like, you don't ever mess with my people like that. If you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it, and you just say it. I don't have to
Because your
describe.
words create your life. It is really true. Your word, I say stuff to your words
But
create
you
your
would
life.
think that they will call me and sit around thinking like that crazy woman told me 2 months ago that don't worry about nothing. It's gonna happen. You're gonna be in school. You're gonna have your apartment. You're gonna be in register for your class. You think they no? They still think
They
I'm
don't acknowledge it.
no, because they think whatever mission they had to take to get there is all that got them there. They don't know that
Or
just
they're
their
not
just the
understanding
power
that
alone.
even the option of having that mission was created.
They
Everybody
won't
didn't have
never
that option of doing that mission. You know
they
what I
were never
mean?
connected to. They were never connected to. And it's because I know it's because it's me alone fighting that battle. You know what
I
I'm saying?
think they eventually will. My children do because I probably have been talking it for so long, but I think that your children will too. It is not always when we think they should, but eventually they will see that you are very different from the other people they're around and that their lives are very different from the other kids they're around as a result. Oh, my mom, they'll get it. I wonder when, but they
Yeah,
will get
I
it.
would love to wonder when with them too, but I'm telling you, I just look and I say they don't even know the gift they have. They just don't even know. They could if they started now with the gift that I learned later on in life, life would be so much better for them. But you
We
know,
do what we can, right?
we do what we can.
And we thank you all for joining us.
And as always, thank you for kicking it with Kim and Tora. Please log in on our podcast. We want you to give our comments. We want you to like, subscribe. We want you to come back and join us because we have so many great topics we want to talk to you about.
Have a good night. We'll see you
Good
next
night.
time.